Hey guys, welcome to the next video in our series. Today we're going to be talking about the lower legs. It's almost the last video that we're going to be having in regards to the body anatomy, and after this we're going to jump into the fun part, which is going to be the head. I'm sure a lot of you guys are waiting for that, so let's go for it. In regards to the bones, you know our process. So the bones are really easy. We have the femur, which we talked about during the upper leg class. We have the patella, which is basically the kneecap. And now we're going to have two extra bones here. Remember, arms and legs are really similar, so they're going to work pretty similar as well. The difference here is, if you remember in the arms, we had the ulna, and the ulna gave us the elbow. In this case, think of the elbow as a separate piece, which in this case is the patella, okay? So the elbow, or in this case the tibia of the leg, is going to start right here in this articulation. It's going to go all the way down to the ankle. Now, the tibia, as you can see, it's a really, really big bone, and it's pretty much the only bone that makes contact with the femur. Opposite to what we had in the arm, where both the ulna and the radius touched the humerus. In this case, only the tibia is going to touch the femur. Now, the tibia here, these two parts here, this triangular kind of shape, is the thing that I was talking about when we were sculpting the knee. This is the baby face projection that you kind of see on the skin. Now, this thing has this long curved, like S-like ridge here that goes from this part here all the way across to this part here. This is a very important landmark for us, because one of the things that you're going to see with the lower legs is that you need to have that same angle that we've been having in several other parts of the body, where one thing, in this case the inner ankle, it's going to be higher than the lower ankle. You're going to have this look right here, and it's very important for you to visualize this, because this is thanks to the bones, to where the bones are placed. So you're going to have the protrusion here from the tibia, and the other bone, which is this small one called the fibula. We had a very different name in Spanish, that's why I get confused. The fibula is going to go a little bit lower than the tibia, and that's where you're going to have the ankle on the outer side be lower than the one on the inner side. Okay, so this is very important. Again, this helps with weight distribution. That's why we have it like that. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have this other bone called the fibula, and the fibula basically functions as an attachment for several of the muscles that we're going to be having on the lower leg. So other than that, it really doesn't serve like a huge purpose. It gives just attachment points and more strength to the overall shape of the lower leg. After that, we're going to have the heel. Now, the heel is actually really important. This one right here, this bone, it's actually part, same as what we had on the wrist, it's part of the tarsals. Remember in the hand we had the carpals, which were the bones of the wrist. Well, in the case of the feet, we got the tarsals, and this big bone here that we call the heel, it's going to be a huge help for us, because a lot of the muscles from the lower leg are going to attach down here with a big tendon that we know as the Achilles tendon. So the Achilles tendon is going to go all the way here and pretty much attach on the underside of that bone. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the bones. So let's jump into the muscles. Now, muscles on the lower leg are also really easy. They work very similar to what we had on the forearm. So if you remember the forearm, one of the shapes that we had was like a chicken leg, right? So it's a lot of volume on the top and then a lot of bone and tendons on the bottom side. So that same principle is going to work right here. And as you can see, we have this 5 or 6 muscles here: the gastrocnemius, tibialis anterior, soleus, peroneus longus, extensor digitorum longus. Now, let me be very clear with this. From all of this, the most important one you're going to be remembering is this gastrocnemius, or as we sometimes call it, the calf muscle, calves or calf if it's singular, I believe. Hopefully I'm not lying to you guys, but I think this was the proper name in English. Anyway, these two muscles are going to be on the back. Remember that we've been talking about that water thing, right? Well, in the upper leg, we had the glutes, like big glutes, and then flat surface. And on the front, we had the quads, very round, pushing away. And then we're going to have very straight looking area here, and we're going to have the curves here on the back. Now, this is a horrible looking leg, but if I stylize this a little bit more, you're going to have something like this. So it's front of the quads going down to the knee, straight here, and then curvature here for the calf muscles, straight on the front, and then very straight on the foot here, and going to the forward. Okay, so curve, straight. Always remember that kind of like zigzag going around the body. Now, this couple of bones that I wrote here are important for you to know just in case you have a very, very ripped character that you're gonna be seeing every single fiber, but most of the times you will not see the difference in these bones. It's pretty similar to what we have on the forearm, where you don't really see the like the veins of the, or not the veins, the divisions of the muscles, and it's more like the overall volume. So the way it works is the following. On the back side here, if we go to this view right here, you're gonna have the two big masses of the calf muscles pretty much pushing the surface to the back. And both of these muscles are gonna be on top of this other muscle called the soleus. The soleus goes below this muscle. And those three muscles pretty much combine their volumes and create a huge tendon that pretty much tenses everything here on the back and becomes the Achilles tendon down here, up all the way to the heel. Okay? So this is very important because these three muscles, both the gastrocnemius and the soleus, will combine their tendons and they will become the Achilles tendon. Okay? So keep that in mind. Actually, the soleus usually goes way lower. Something like that. But it's very slim and very deep muscle, so you won't really see it on the superficial anatomy. Now, from the side view, and this is really, really, really important, from the side view, the same way we have this slanted kind of angle here on the ankles in regards to the bones, we're going to have a very similar angle in regards to the calf muscles. And this is seeing it from the front. So if you see it from the front, what's going to happen, actually this is the side view. From the front view, what you're going to see is the following. The outer calf is going to be seen, or the spike, the apex of the outer calf, it's going to be seen higher than the apex of the lower calf, like so. Okay, so again, the thing we've been talking about in regards to angles and balance, one, and then it changes. Okay, always. That kind of balance is what keeps us pretty much, well, balanced. Okay, it's now from the back side, remember, this is the front view. From the back side, the inner calf is going to be right here, and the outer calf is going to be right here. Think about the fibula like if it was pushing or giving it an extra volume here, and due to the fact that it's here, it kind of brings it out. It's not necessarily because of that, but it kind of helps it visualize if you visualize it that way. So again, the outside of the calf muscles are going to be pushing or are going to be higher, and the inside is going to be lower. That's very, very important. Let's jump into the reference now here. Oh yeah, the ankle. That's the same thing I was mentioning. Here's with skin. And the one thing that I want to mention, I think we can jump into the reference right now. Yeah, it's easier to see right here. The one thing I want to mention in regards to the ankle is that in the same way that we could touch the elbow, which is the bony landmark, remember this is the patella. Let me grab a different color. Let's do green this time. This is the patella. Okay, like the big patella, square-like shape there. This is the triangle of the tibia right there. Okay, so the same way you can touch your elbow and follow the ridge all the way into the pinky finger bone, this exact phenomena can be found here on the leg. So if you touch your tibia, you can pretty much follow the tibial ridge all the way down, and it will curve very nicely into the bony protrusion here on the ankle, right there. Okay, so that's really important. You can follow this line here, and this line, this curved line, is what's gonna give us a nice looking gesture for our characters. Now, again, it all depends on how toned and how fit your character is, but most of the times you're gonna see that kind of information. Now, look at this leg right here again, and look at the apexes of the muscles. Again, the outer muscle, or the calf that's on the outside of the body, is gonna have its apex way higher than the one on the bottom, even though she's wearing heels. I believe she's not wearing heels, for instance, and you can still see that the outer calf is going to be right there. It's going to be higher than the lower calf. It's going to be right here. Now, remember we mentioned the diamond shape here on the back. Well, here's where the tendons of the calf muscles are going to do this. And if you remember, we had the tendons from the biceps femoris doing this, and from the semitendinous doing this. So that's why we get this diamond shape here. And again, even though it might look like due to the diamond and the tendons, we're going to have a dip, that's going to be filled by a fatty pad, and we're going to have a volume there. Okay, so never give it a, you can see here, right there. See how it's like a bulge? very important, and that's kind of the anatomy of the backside of the legs. Now, in regards to the heel, this is very important. We will have a very defined kind of reach here. You're gonna see the Achilles tendon on the lower side of the leg, very close to the feet. You're gonna have like a dip here and a dip on the other side. If we were to do like a cross section looking from the top to the feet, you would see something like this. It's bone, and then the tibial ridge on the front. This is the front view. Bone, and then Achilles tendon, and Achilles tendon. It's like a cross, kind of like a cross, like a very bony looking part. And then if we were to go higher, hopefully you can kind of visualize what's happening here. If we go higher, what's going to happen with the Achilles tendon is going to get a little bit more fleshy, and then a little bit more fleshy, and then we'll have like the calf muscles here. Just think of if we were doing like cuts at this level, and then at this level, you would have like different views of how the leg is shaping, right? So hopefully that's not super confusing. Now, other than that, just remember to sculpt a little bit of a division here, similar to what we have again on the elbow and on the other side, which is right here. Everything else pretty much is a continuous volume all around. There's not a lot of information in regards to muscles or veins or anything, because most of the times the lower legs are pretty smooth. If you're super ripped and on a pose like her, then you might see a little bit of the muscles that were written down on the previous presentation. But again, most of the times, you can see it in this leg over here. Let me clean a new layer here. It's pretty smooth, pretty smooth all around. Now, before we jump into the sculpting phase, I wanna give you my trick on how to make sure that the curvature is right. Most of the times, we make the mistake, or it's not the mistake, it's actually the way we work, where we will place the legs of our character slightly open, like so. This is just like the wireframe, right? So this is the knee, lower legs, upper legs. So this is very good for us, and sometimes even the riggers will tell us try to do the legs completely straight, because that makes an easier job for the rigger. But for us, most of the time we do the A pose, and in the A pose we semi-open the legs like this. However, this is very difficult for us to know if our legs are working properly or not. We can't really see if the curvature is nice or not. If you were to close the legs completely, pretty much place heel and heel together, the shape that you're gonna achieve for a female character is the following. You're gonna have the hips, and then both knees are gonna be pretty much almost on the same position, like pretty much touching, and then the lower legs are gonna do this. Okay? This is a very wide hip, but you can kind of see the information here. The problem is when we open the legs, everything kind of straightens up and we lose a lot of gesture. So what I recommend, and we're going to do it as soon as we get the sculpture done in ZBrush, is we're going to close the legs and see how the shape or the overall shape of the female looks. Because remember, at the end of the day, we want like the head, we want the torso, like our waistline, kind of like a V shape. And then going down, it's a very sharp and defined silhouette like this. Again, when we open the legs to sculpt and make it easier for us, we kind of lose that nice feminine pose, and it becomes a little bit difficult to judge whether or not the curvature of the legs is working properly or not. Now, one extra thing to remember before we close the video. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're good on time. Before we close the video, there's one thing that sometimes happens in regards to the curvature of the leg, and you can see it here on the reference. Let me turn this reference on. If we were to place like a straight line going from the knee to the ankle, okay, as straight as possible, as leveled as possible, I want you to see the following. Most of the volume of the leg is on the outside. If we do the same thing from this point to the iliac spine, we also will find that there's a lot of volume here, and then a lot of volume here on the inside. So again, that's the kind of play, the zigzag kind of play that I've been trying to hammer on you guys, because it's very important for you to see how things pretty much bounce from one side to another to give us the best looking balance possible. Okay, this is the gesture that we're trying to capture. So when we sculpt the leg, I'm gonna make sure that there's kind of like a C shape going on from the knee to the ankle. That's going to give us a very nice looking leg for our female character. So anyway, guys, this is it for the lecture. I'm going to stop the video right here, and I'll see you guys back in ZBrush when we take all of this information and sculpt the legs. So see you in the next video.